And just like that, they buy it. They eat it up. You pander to them. You thank them. I mean, really, people, I thought you were a little bit smarter than that. I mean, it's just so easy to say the name of the city. You cheer.
Hey, Stephanie,
You cheer. I mean, just come on.
Welcome to the A Show.
As Roman snores. Thanks. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the A Show with the Kings of Pro Wrestling Podcast. I am Justin, here with Meelz. We're almost in August, the dog days of summer. Didn't even really feel like a summer this year, but I mean, days are definitely moving along, and we are definitely still in the house. So, Meelz, what's going on?
This is episode 145, as you would say in New York City. It is great. I have not been to 145 in quite some time because I'm still not back. I thought I would be back at work. I'm not back at work yet. So, you know, you got me for a lot longer than anticipated. I got nothing else going on. I mean,
I got a lot going on.
Oh yeah, you. What's going on with you?
You hit the ground running. When you get engaged, it's like you hit the ground running. I don't even think me and my fiance have had a solid week of just enjoying this shit before the spreadsheet was pulled out. There's a spreadsheet. Well, listen,
you didn't have to do a spreadsheet in the first week. You could have said, all right, let's chill a little bit.
No,
let's let's do the light brainstorm. Let's do a light brainstorm. Well, you got to thought.
Well, when you got a family as big as hers, you gotta do the spreadsheet for the guest list first. Because
well, of course. But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. What you guys should have done. Now I'm turning into Meelz, the life counselor. Here's what you should have done. Take a week off. Let it sink in. Let the likes on your tweets roll in. Let the congratulations still roll in. Let everything kind of roll in because it's a lot to take in. And then you decide, you know what? During this week, we're going to think about some things. What do you think about this? What do you think about? And I'm sure you've been doing this. What do you think about this? What do you think about this? And just kind of lightly put it out in the air. And then you start the hardcore planning of okay,
Meelz, you say all that, but you're just talking about it from your perspective and not from
Of course. So here's the thing. I'm telling you what I would do.
But here's the thing. I said I would do the same thing, but then you actually have you have to do it with someone else. You have a partner now.
Of course.
So I was forthright. I was forthright in being okay, I think we should put some ideas on paper, so to speak. And we've done that. We got a general idea of what we want to do, but we also, you got to remember we're in a quarantine. We're in, a pandemic. So everything that was supposed to happen this year is moving to 2021. So that actually does mean that we have to be a little bit more brisk about the planning.
With 2021 or
2022? I mean, 2021 is a wash. Let me just say that right now. Just from what I know and what I've seen, next year is a wash. So there's going to be a lot of updates. I'll just say that. This is the beginning of the updates of what's going on.
Marriage watch.
I like to put you guys in my shoes here.
Sure. Yeah, obviously. A lot. You know what I've seen the other day actually on Twitter? I saw a tweet. It said 4 years of SmackDown started. It's that 2016 era that we all thought was going to be terrible and actually ended up being quite delightful. Wow. Did I hearken back to damn.
Oh, my nigga, I need Rhino?
Yeah, first of all, yes, that immediately. Anytime I seen Shane McMahon in 2016, I immediately think of that tweet. It's a Hall of Fame tweet. The roster, it wasn't that hot. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Raw had Finn Balor. It had a lot of things going on. It had pizzazz, it had Flash, it had Roman, it had Seth, it had Finn, it had
Kevin Owens,
tag teams, Kevin Owens, Nia Jax had just been called up, all these other things. Asuka was on her way, Jericho, all this other had Flash and pizzazz. But then, you look at SmackDown, the little train that had John Cena and AJ Styles still fresh not champion yet AJ Styles, but AJ Styles nonetheless. Had AJ Styles, a little bit Dolph Ziggler, had Carmella wearing pants, the weird Becky Lynch. It's like everything Becky Lynch is like pre the man and like everything after the man.
She was still
and, like
goofy.
Pre the man. Oh yeah, way goofy, like very Irish. But you look at that and I'm like, man, they really made chicken salad out of the chicken that I perceived was going to come. And now I look at 2020, I'm like, man, they'd be lucky if they make chicken shit about it. Like,
I mean, I think there's a little bit of that. I think there's a little bit of that on like both shows now. You know, like I think there's a little bit of like bad and confusing, and we'll talk all about that later on the shows this week. We got a lot to talk about with that. But I think when you look at it now, I think honestly, like if you were to look at that roster now and with 2020 eyes, you'd be like, that's not even a bad roster, low key. When you think back at it, like it had AJ, it had Dean, it had a lot of things going for it, as well as Becky. So I think, you know, history is going to be a lot kinder to that original SmackDown Live roster than when we originally saw it, because we were just thinking of, oh my God, all the indie guys are on Raw, instead of like all of the character guys in AJ were on SmackDown, and they made that shit work for damn near 2 years. It was the show to watch. And, you know, that Tuesday time slot, yo, you could not beat it. I think like I even prefer that to what we have now.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I'll wait till this tugboat gets out the background of my house. But
why? Where are you at?
I don't know. Don't ask. No, you're 100% right. Like kind of looking back at it and seeing everybody there, the characters were 100% there, and then like the opportunity and them kind of like trying out new stuff. Everyone kind of liking. I mean, people genuinely liked. You even look at the GMs and commissioner, Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon, relatively fresh compared to like Stephanie McMahon, who we've seen do the same thing for years, and like Mick Foley, who was like half brain dead sometimes.
Perpetually lost.
Yeah, so it wasn't, what the hell is going on back there? But yeah, it was just, you know, wow, the time. I can't believe it.
A lot of good segments. Yeah. I mean, you had the James Ellsworth stuff, which mutated into the Oscar program,
but even James Ellsworth, right? Like, wasn't supposed to be on the show, but it worked. He had a whole championship match against AJ Styles, and that was the episode. I think that was the episode of SmackDown that beat Raw in the actual viewership numbers because the show was getting so good.
Yeah, and I remember AJ beat him in like 1 minute. Like, actually, no, it wasn't even 1 minute. It was like 30 seconds. He beat him.
He saved his life. Remember, he was going to. Ellsworth was about to tuck his head, and AJ was like, "Oh, I don't need that. I don't need another body on my hands." Saved his life.
My God. Let's get into No Holds Barred.
No Holds Barred. There's a lot of no holds barredness about this thing, especially with one of the topics we got to talk about.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, let's just get right to it. Adam Cole and Pat McAfee. There was an altercation, a dust-up, if you will, between these two late last week on his radio show. Adam Cole showed up, and they were going back and forth. If you've seen the clip, I'm pretty sure you have. And Pat McAfee makes fun of Adam Cole's size, which prompts Adam Cole, who, like, let me just say this right now. I met Adam Cole one time, and it was almost like talking to your best friend. He was, like, so nice. I would have never thought that he would ever in my life drop as many F-bombs as he did in this thing, right? Like this video clip. It was crazy.
The nice ones.
Right?
It's always the nice ones.
When that mask slips, you never know. Like, he was letting people hold the NXT belt and everything. I was like, oh, he's pretty nice. I didn't hold the belt, but he was cool. So seeing him go off on McAfee was insane. It just really shut down social for a couple hours last week. Where, I mean, you had the situation where it was like, is it a work? Is it not? I think in the beginning it was like, okay, it might have been real. But Triple H's comments in a phone call interview that he had earlier this week kind of puts that in question. He said that Adam is his own man, and this just came hours after Adam had actually apologized. But he said Adam's his own man, and he invited Pat McAfee on NXT to talk about their grievances and air it out. And Pat responded in kind on his own show, saying that in Adam's notepad apology, he didn't mention his name and didn't put him over. So, Meelz, I ask you, is this a work?
All right, so here's the thing. There's multiple. I have multiple thoughts and multiple comments about this. I'll ignore the negative ones for now. However, you can really tell how nice of a person Adam Cole is for him to go on a show with someone that he presumptuously hates. Because it doesn't feel like an isolated incident just from this show. If you look at all the other pre-shows that Pat McAfee has been on for NXT and Adam Cole, you can always kind of see that Adam Cole has always kind of hated his guts, but not in a way of like, shut up, Saxton. Like,
yeah,
always in a way of like, you make me sick. So for him to go on his show, I was just shocked in general that it actually happened. I was like, yo, you got to be a really nice guy to go on some enemy show or really like give that type of energy to anybody that you hate, because
it wouldn't be me. He's a better man than me.
Yeah, it couldn't be us. Trust me. It couldn't be us. So it was very interesting that he go on to. I think it's an actual work. I feel like Triple H wants it to be a work because he wants things to smooth over, because he knows that this is ultimately his brand, his decision. These are two people that he is presumptually, I would say, hired. Maybe not Pat McAfee. Maybe he was more of a Michael Cole thing. I'm not fully sure. But these are two people that are generally under his brand, and he sees that Adam Cole, who has a lot of promise, doesn't want him to go under the same mistakes that he's made. Maybe I feel like it's Triple H trying to save Adam Cole, because
the F-bombs are a lot. The F-bombs were definitely not PG, and I think that that's something that really, like, even though Triple H is laughing it off, he's probably like, you know, that's the proud pop of NXT, just like, oh, that's old Adam right there. You know, he's trying to like smooth it over a little bit.
Right. He's like, you know, Adam, you know, these guys, they can do whatever. And I'm just like, okay, Adam Cole still hates Pat McAfee. Don't get me wrong. And I think he's making 100% the apology because he's a public figure and he represents the brand. And likely he says that he wasn't told to make an apology. I highly doubt that. Maybe you should apologize.
It was the nicest apology ever. And I saw a lot of people online giving him grief about it. Like, oh, he's a bitch. And like, Cody would never, or some shit like that. And I was like, listen, this is like literally like, what do y'all want? Like, what do you guys think this is anymore? Like, what? Like, Adam is literally he's not the guy you see on TV. It's the nicest notepad apology I've ever seen in my life. Like, you could almost hear how sincere he was in that apology, and I thought it was really funny. But I guess we'll see.
I think he realizes that he messed up. He realized that he got out of character. He got out of place. He said some things that he shouldn't have said. I personally don't even see what they saw in him. I see him personally as this like jock football player, ex-football player rather, that they wanted to get on because he was very popular on whatever super white medium that he was on. And they wanted some of that energy. They wanted some of that crossover energy. They know that he was a fan. They wanted to do that. But to me, it never worked. And judging by his now lack of on-airness, he's not even on Watch Along anymore, I think. Yeah. I think that they also thought it didn't work, or various things. He kind of moved at the beat of his own drum. I'll say that in the nicest way possible.
You're being very nice right now.
I'm being very nice because I don't want to say there are a number of people I dislike, and it's not. You can tell it by the vibe, and yes, vibe is a word. It's a completely overused word in our culture, I think, but you can always tell from a vibe that it's like, I don't get a good vibe from this person, or I don't get a truthful or anything kind of vibe from this person. He may be a nice guy, who knows? But the vibe, it just don't match up. It don't me, him, no. There's a whole other thing.
It was just weird. It was real spicy. It was real spicy.
It was very spicy. It was very spicy. So
I don't fuck with it. But you know, I hope they patch it up. And Adam, I don't know when he's even gonna come back.
They don't have to patch it up to me. I mean, you keep the energy.
Like,
you do you, I do me.
It just doesn't even seem like this would be patched up on TV. It looks like it would be like a type thing. So
why would he have to come to NXT to patch us up? Like,
yeah, it's just really weird wording. But I think Triple H again trying to keep the peace. So sometimes you just gotta let the beef ride, like Gucci and Jeezy, right?
Yeah.
Fuck
he has to do it on his birthday. Triple H turned 51, and he has to mitigate beef between two people,
which is insane. Damn. It's insane. Speaking of people who don't have any problem saying how they feel, did you peep AJ Styles' comments about Dixie Carter?
No, please do tell me.
It was on this.
What is going on this Southern fried beef?
It was on a AJ Styles is on Twitch, very often. He streams.
Oh, yeah.
He streams on his off days.
Academics a little,
Hey, you know what? His shows look exactly like Academics. There are very few times I see him actually playing video games on them, so it's actually fun. He's like he's the king of like just chatting. But
oh my god.
He answers several questions for his fans. I will say that AJ, of anyone in the top of the card on WWE, he's the most interactive with his fans through his Twitch and Mixer channels. So he was asked on Twitch last week if Dixie Carter ruined Impact. So he said, do I believe Dixie Carter ruined Impact? Well, it was TNA back then, and 100%. There was a time when it was really gaining ground. The problem was Dixie wanted to be WWE light, and that's not what people wanted. They wanted to see something else. All she had to do was let us do what we do. It was really that simple. And had she left it to the writers, I think TNA would still be around and bigger than what they are. But not knowing what's best for business, she hurt TNA. Very key thing to notice here, AJ does not even recognize Impact as even being around anymore. It does not exist anymore. Very funny to hear him say that. But the bad blood between Heat and Impact still brewing a lot within him. He was also asked if he would be inducted, into the Impact Hall of Fame. If he would do it, he said no, but only because he's working for WWE. He said he would say no even if he was at ROH or New Japan also.
Yo, why is he going off? Like he
goes off on them often.
Why is he going off so hard? Like he does. I'll be honest with you.
They screwed him over, though, Meelz.
But I don't know. If TNA wants to recognize him, which it's like, yeah, why wouldn't they recognize him? He was a major part for like almost a decade, a major part of their damn company.
They doing him right. They're doing him right at WWE. I have to say, like, probably one of my favorite runs of his, and absolutely just one of the biggest stars in the WWE, probably in the last decade. If you want to keep it 100, like AJ Styles is definitely that guy there.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on, New Japan news. I woke up this morning, and I don't know if you've seen this yet. I want to explain it to you if you haven't.
No, I've seen it. I read it. I knew you were going to want to talk about it, so I did read it.
Yeah. New Japan created a new provisional championship called the King of Pro Wrestling 2020 title. The actual title will not have a title belt, and will be reset every year. The new title will be decided on August 26th and August 29th at Summer Struggle, which, if you look at the card, that ain't a joke. 8 wrestlers will compete in 4 singles matches on the 26th. In the first round, each wrestler will be allowed to bring their own desired match rules. That's right. They're going full TNA here. Speaking of TNA, we're going full TNA here. So
they're on like 85% TNA. TNA is the company that said we're going to start a battle royal outside of the ring, and then you have to win
to get in.
And then after you get in, I don't know. And then they also created the King of the Mountain match, which is the most insane shit I've ever seen in my life.
So Okada was there at the press conference, and he said, and I quote, "There are all kinds of rules. 2 out of 3 falls, ladder, steel cages. It could be anything. And to help determine these rules, fans will have the opportunity to vote on which wrestlers' rules the singles matches will be contested under. The winners of these matches will then advance to a fatal 4-way match on August 29th that will be under regular 4-way rules. So you have a match on the first night where it could be anything. And then you have a regular-ass match, 4-way match on the 29th. And then there will be the King of Pro Wrestling 2020 champion. So this is twofold here. This is New Japan's love of tournaments and New Japan's love of titles all in one.
Is Dixie Karameshi somewhere booking the territory? Like, what's actually going on here? Why is this so overblown or overdone? It's a lot overdone, actually.
I get that they're trying to spark interest in the product. I get that they're trying to keep several talents hot because both titles are still with Evil and they are not being defended regularly. So you're missing a huge part of the card where there are intercontinental title standings and where there are heavyweight title standings. Okada is firmly out of that picture right now and has been for the whole year. You need to have something for him to do. I'm 100% sure he's going to be winning this. Let's just be clear. He's 100% winning this. But my issue is with any other title that they have in New Japan, they usually let either Okada or Tanahashi or someone important win it, and then they forget all about it later. As they've done it with the 6-man tag championships. Do you even know who the champions are there? Oh, that's right. No. Evil is the champion. And he's in a stable with a bunch of people he does not like. And again, it's very, very weird. This is just like really overblown. I don't get it. I also think it's really interesting that like New Japan is relenting to actually doing steel cage matches and ladder matches and 2 out of 3 falls matches because, you know, a couple years ago it was straight up regular ass matches. But now
it's regular ass matches for sure.
But now that there's cheating and there's, you know, a lot of interference, which again, they've been having this type of stuff for years, but now that it's like more of a thing, they're ready to go full sports entertainment. And I'm wondering who, you know, the people that used to be like super purists, like, we would never agree to anything like that.
Climbing up ladders? What is that?
Like, what are they going to say now? And again, they have had ladder matches, Kenny Omega and Michael Elgin being one of the most prominent ones in New Japan. But again, like they've never really done stipulation matches like that. So I think it's really interesting that they're relenting to even having a freaking steel cage match, which I can't remember the last time I've ever seen one of those in New Japan. Just having them, you know, actually happen, but how they're going to fit on the show. Because, you know, the fans are going to vote for the most wild shit, right? Like they're going to vote for the match that is going to have the most juice behind it, so to speak. So we'll see what happens at the end of August. I'm, you know, as it stands, I haven't been a big fan of their direction as far as their titles go. But if this is something way more fun than having to watch the Evil main event, then I'm all for it. I want to touch on some NXT stuff. I know that Cyrus and MJ did a lot of fantasy booking there last week. I wanted to kind of touch on that. So shout out to Cyrus and MJ. Subscribe to our channel and make sure you listen to the War Report every Friday. The Keith Lee Karrion Kross thing that's coming up. We know it's coming at TakeOver 30. Which should be a really solid show from what they have already on, you know, on the docket and what we have to expect from it. I feel a lot of ways about it. I'm concerned a little, but I think, you know, anyone would be concerned when you have a super hot star like Karrion Kross coming in and getting a title match in his second takeover. And I think I've been seeing people draw parallels to like the Fiend stuff and people saying, you know, Keith shouldn't be a transitional champion. I think there's a lot of conversation to be had here. I wanted to bring this on the show because I think this is a bigger issue. It's a larger issue because it actually deals with you know, NXT having a really cool and really like dope champion, I think, in Keith Lee. And, you know, I love the way he won it. I've loved his journey. I don't necessarily want to see it over. And I also don't think he'll have a long run. Let's just be clear here before we, you know, continue on here. But I do not think, okay, 2 things. I don't think this is the same thing as the Fiend thing. Just because of just the aura of Karrion and the Fiend are just not the same. Fiend was selling. He was no selling shit. Karrion, as you can see, I think they've scaled back on the no selling stuff with Karrion, which is good. But Karrion also kind of falls into the NXT unbeatable streak that they always do with new people that come in. Everyone gets an unbeatable streak. And I also think it's different where it's like you know, there are no challengers for Keith that looked that promising other than Adam Cole. So you had to go to Karrion because he was undefeated. But that leads to the dilemma here. Do you have Keith Lee lose? There isn't any. Who else do you like on NXT or do you think could go for that title right now? Riddle's gone. Thatcher seems to me more like a North American title contender.
I would have liked to see Roddy Strong take a swing.
He beat him already
for the championship. I mean, the swing for the actual championship, like for the actual NXT championship, like a match
beat him in January though.
Yeah, I know, but this is for the NXT championship, so it's like during Keith Lee's run, so it's a little bit more. So he runs to the actual. He gets a championship shot. Maybe Adam Cole's like, what's going on here? Maybe we do some things. You're able to set up a little bit of a story. You get something a little bit different than before. I don't think we've seen Roderick Strong actually challenge for the NXT championship, which is why I think it would have been
Bobby Roode.
Oh, when the hell was that? Bobby Roode. Fuck that.
You said he did it. I'm just telling you that he did. He did.
Yeah, it was a super long time ago. I'm letting you know, but I think just generally now, especially after his experience in terms of being in the, you know, it gives, I think, a little bit of freshness to the Undisputed Era, that it's not just like, okay, Adam Cole and his buddies. Now he's like, okay, any of them could become a star. And you have another great, I think, at least a great contender, I think, in Roderick Strong. any of the other Finn if he's not in the ladder match or whatever the hell, something along those lines. In terms of the actual Karrion Kross, Keith Lee type of deal, it's a little bit soon. I think with Karrion Kross, I mean, usually for these title contenders, you kind of want a little bit of okay, have they proven themselves in NXT to be able to carry a type of match like this? Have this match against Keith? And it's very rare for someone coming in, new gimmick, new thing. And it's not like Karrion Kross isn't unproven. He obviously has been in various promotions before and has done his thing across the world and et cetera, et cetera. But when you're kind of like redoing the entire slate, then it's kind of like a new coat. Now you kind of have to figure out like, okay, where can we actually go from here? Now you're working within the confines of his actual character itself. I think putting it too soon, I've seen it in sort of situations, and I think probably the only one that would be a outlier to the situation was Shayna Baszler. I think Shayna Baszler, she came in legitimately, I think one of her first takeovers, she faces Ember Moon. She loses, and it was like, all right, but she loses in a very interesting way. Like she loses.
She barely loses.
Yeah. She lost her first NXT title match, and then she won the legitimate follow-up match. So I think it was a very interesting way of how they actually did it. Could they do that with Karrion Kross? Possibly. But I do think it's a little too soon. I think we haven't even I haven't feeling like we got the actual like full length and the full swath of the full gimmick.
Here's my question. If it was Karrion and Adam, would it be more acceptable than Karrion and Keith?
I still wouldn't like it.
Because you would know that Karrion was about to take the title off Adam. But here, there's some type of plausible deniability and like, okay, are they going to really pull the trigger here? Because my thing is like, again, the reason why I say Karrion is the most formidable for Keith right now is because we've seen Keith literally run through everyone and kick out of the craziest stuff ever. And we've mostly seen Karrion beat up smaller guys. So with Keith, it's kind of like the unstoppable force and movable object type thing. And it's like, that is what I'm interested in seeing in this match. I think that is the interest that I see here and that's why I say this isn't Fiend Seth. Fiend Seth is like pure theatrics, and I think there's less that here. I think like there's no Karrion popping up from and they could definitely still do this on Wednesday, but there's no Karrion like popping up from under the ring, and Keith isn't scared of him and stuff like that. Like there's definitely, and I'll say Keith is a cooler face than Seth was last fall. He's way cooler than Seth was last fall. So I want to shut that out right now. Like I just want to argue, like, do we think that it is time to beat Keith? Oh, actually three choices: beat Keith, have Keith beat Karrion, or do some type of fuck finish here, which I think the third option is definitely going to happen.
You're looking in a case, if he beats Karrion, then you see a rematch in the future. I'm sure a rematch is going to happen in it. If he beats Keith Lee, I think a rematch is going to happen. I mean, all of them this is going to be, I assume, a long-standing kind of program, especially with how personal it's becoming. Or actually, is it? I feel like maybe they want to call Keith Lee up. I don't know.
No, like, I don't think there's room. Where would he go?
SmackDown? Where's I feel like he's a good, to me, you call him up after a Survivor Series, I still think there's kind of room for him. I think you see Keith Lee, he's a star. I think it's generally time for him.
They're barely having time to put Matt Riddle, and he is like next to Baron Corbin, who they love putting TV time on.
I don't know. This could end up like, so I think the outlier, I said the outlier is Shayna Baszler, but there's so many different things where it's like, okay, they've given the guy a lot too early, and then it ends up kind of like ruining him kind of long term. You look at Shinsuke Nakamura, championship match. I think he got it like 2 months into when he was facing he was facing Jinder, yeah.
Oh, Jinder, no, NXT.
Yeah, no, I'm talking on the main roster. He's facing Jinder. It ends up not working out multiple times. You talk about Ryback. Ryback is another one who I don't even think the plan was to give him a championship match that early, and then it all kind of went downhill after that. NXT, I'll give him a lot more credit. I think in terms of what they should do with this match is just somehow have Keith retain. It's right. Unless you're actually calling up Keith, in my opinion, I don't see any reason why you take the belt off of him.
Right.
Yeah, I really don't. I think it's for it to be this short, I think it would grab the ire of a lot of fans. I think that's not what they need right now, especially when you have people accusing them of like, you know, putting a championship on a black, you know, wrestler isn't a gimmick or isn't this thing. It's like, you know, these are actual real. I think it would be bad and just in bad taste in general.
That's why it makes him look even more ill if he does beat Karrion. I think that makes him like literally the strongest of any babyface we've ever seen on that show. If he does manage to beat Karrion, you have him do it and barely do it, and then you have Karrion really just run roughshod through people to get the rematch, and then we do that at the next takeover, and then you do the switch, and then
this isn't enough for Karrion. My thing was like, is this enough for Karrion Ciampa? Because I don't really want that.
Oh yeah, it absolutely is, and I think when Keith loses it, Ciampa will come back, and I think that is what it's setting up for.
I find that whack. I really do. I find that incredibly whack, just for the fact that we've got a new champion. It's the first time we've got a new champion in over 400 something days. And for them to kind of take it off just to set up this one feud that's kind of like, that is going to be an everlasting feud. That feud is going on forever. And it can't be promoted by matches because Ciampa can't wrestle on a weekly basis. So it's you know, I'm interested to see where it goes.
Yeah,
I'm tuned in.
Me too. So that was our. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say the challenge is over, so I may have to tune into NXT again on Wednesday.
The real show. But that was our small war report segment for the week. Shout out to Cyrus and MJ. But before we get into the shows for this week, Meelz, you had a really huge opportunity in an interview this week with one Ricochet. We're gonna shoot over to some content and some questions you asked him there for the show.
All right, let me ask you a quick thing about this match, Battle of Super Juniors 2017. Will Ospreay. Yeah. Any anime inspiration behind that match? Or you was just like, please. Let's just do cool shit.
Honestly, it's funny enough. Like that match, 17. Was that the first one? No, that had to be the second one. I think the 17 had to be the second one.
Whichever one the people got mad at, incredibly mad at.
I think, well, the first, it probably was because we had two. We had one, I think, we had the double handspring, double backflip, double.
Right. That's the one that I'm talking about.
Okay, so that one, we actually, and I don't want to sound like a specific way. So Ospreay and I had wrestled like, a bunch of times before that match, like on the independent scene. So we actually, honestly, we just kind of put together a match in like 20 minutes. We're like, okay, yeah, this is, because we were thinking, okay, it's Super Junior, it's like at Cork and Hall, it's the main event of the night. So we just want to put on a good match, like what we thought would be a good match. Like we had no expectations it was going to be like what it was. We had no, I don't know, we had no idea that it was going to be all of that. We just honestly kind of put together a match and was like, okay, yeah, that sounds pretty good. Let's go do this. And then all of a sudden, it was just like, it just had all this, all this talk and hype and stuff about it. We're like, oh, okay, well, all right then.
That was nice.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Listen, you defied. I mean, it kind of defies expectations of what people normally see kind of in these matches. It's kind of legitimately like. That's what I was saying. It's like it kind of like anime inspired. I wouldn't say it's anime inspired. I'm sure you guys do your own thing. They're both incredibly
anything
athletic.
I do is kind of really anime inspired, but
gotcha. I mean, but it was incredible just to kind of watch that match and kind of how you guys put that together. But I mean, your entire year has been amazing. You're teaming up with Cedric. Cedric, another anime fan. How has it been teaming up with Cedric as of late?
Really good, actually. I feel like, Cedric and I, like, we're on the same page, and we both, again, like, we enjoy the same things, and we both are we're like similar yet different stylistically. Like, we're like similar but different. It's weird. So I feel like our styles really, they mesh really well. And he and I both we're workhorses, so we want to go out there and we want to put on the best match we can. Like, of course. Whomever it is we're out there with. So, so far it's been great. I enjoyed every bit of it.
Listen, and I have to ask at least one more question concerning the wrestling thing. Is Mustafa Ali okay? Because he went headfirst into Lashley's
Bob. He was talking about it. He goes, man, I was flying. He goes, I was out of the ring. He goes, I was flying. He goes, but as soon as I hit Bobby, he goes, I just stopped.
That was
incredible. He goes full force going. He goes, as soon as I hit Bobby, he goes, I just kind of stopped.
Oh my God, bro!
So such like a brick wall. He goes, I just.
Jeez, dude.
That's even more funny to imagine it now.
I know.
Yeah,
because I'm thinking
I was running full force. He goes, I just couldn't stop moving.
Oh my God, that's incredible. I mean, you guys are doing amazing things on Monday Night Raw. I mean, we're glad to have you here.
Yeah,
we're really glad to have you on this
grateful,
podcast. Like, really.
Yeah, thank you guys. This has been fun.
Yeah, and then to talk anime and all this other stuff and all this world of stuff. Gosh, you're gonna finish Hunter x Hunter.
Yep.
Definitely.
All right, that was Ricochet with Meelz and Jeff of The Lookout. Thank you so much to Ricochet for coming on the show, and for Meelz for taking that for us. We stole some of it. You feel me?
Oh yeah, of course. Listen, I had to. While the conversation was mostly anime, and if you guys listen to the rest of the 40, it's legitimately like 45 minutes before the actual part that we're playing. So it's like, if you're an anime fan, you're going to love this interview. You're going to be talking about a lot of Dragon Ball, a lot of My Hero Academia, a lot of things like that. I felt weird about asking about wrestling because he was so gun-ho about anime at this point, but had to talk about wrestling. It was funny hearing that the Mustafa Ali story. I'm legitimately dying still listening to that now. Bobby Lashley is a crazy guy. But yeah, listen to that interview in full. You can slide over to The Lookout after you listen to this podcast, listen to the interview in full, share it, tell your friends, subscribe. We appreciate all the support that we've gotten thus far.
Now we're going to talk about something that's less fun than that, and that is Friday SmackDown. I title Friday SmackDown Naomi tried, and yes, they did try. I don't like it. I thought it was really weird the way they followed everything up with that. I do think that they do. I always thought that the Lacey Naomi thing was always in the cards. Let's just be clear. They were always going to be feuding. But I think to have this be the impetus of the feud is really weird because WWE does not know how to write things that are within a recent scope. They just don't.
Right. No, it felt like they were addressing it and dismissing it all in one segment.
Yes.
Like legitimately, it felt like they were addressing, well, Naomi, talk about your hashtag thing. You got the Miz there. It's like, oh, the Miz is a smooth, operator, smooth talker. Let's get him to kind of like smooth this thing out. And they have Naomi address it. And then Lacey Evans comes out and it was like, now back to your original programming. You know what I'm saying? Like it didn't feel like they actually listen to what the people were saying. It felt more so like, let's address this while we can now. People got a lot of support. It's the same thing they did with Naomi at the beginning of the year with the Royal Rumble, especially when she got all the hype and she became a viral sensation. And, I wouldn't say sensation. Sensation as well. Her clip went viral over the kind of her appearance in the Royal Rumble. It was amazing. They addressed it on the following SmackDown. It was like, oh, she's going to face, Bailey. And then they kind of like swept all this shit under the rug. I'm telling you, it's weird because if it's like something like the Yes Movement or something, you know what I'm saying? Now we got a whole program and now we're pushing this and now we're doing all this stuff. We got t-shirts and all this other stuff like that. But when it comes to Naomi, it seems like, okay, here's this player. Here's everything that she's kind of capable of. Here's kind of the box that we're going to put her in. But now ultimately we're running back to the feud. This feud is going to be amazing. Don't you love this feud? Oh my God, she got lipstick all over her mouth.
Well, they couldn't change it. I think it definitely changed what the segment was going to be for this week. It probably would have been worse than this.
I felt like, it made it for much. Yeah, change a segment. I think they decided, let's go with the attraction since everyone is apparently talking about this. Instead of like something backstage that was completely meaningless. Now they're like, okay, let's do an actual segment on this. But I didn't buy it. I don't buy it.
She tried. She really tried. Again, she really does make the most of it. And I'm
looking in the face of it. It's wild because it's like you look at the actual segment itself, and maybe I'm looking too deep in the segment of her trying to explain to two white men about the things that's going on and why they're fighting. And the two white guys are like, and here's Lacey. Can't you like, and it completely ignorant to the fact of the actual thing of what's going on and, moving forward. It was just, I didn't buy it. I didn't like it.
It was not my favorite part of the show. We also had Matt Riddle in another Baron Corbin segment. Does this end up on SummerSlam, or are they just leaving Matt off of pay-per-views for the time being? Not really sure, but he puts a hit on Matt Riddle, and that him is Baron, of course. Not sure what that means, but I'm guessing we'll see him facing off against Tony Nese a lot in the next couple of weeks.
It should be interesting from week to week. People bother to take up the ransom. I think this is a feud that can extend from week to week. It's a very interesting kind of way to handle this without seeing a bunch of Baron Corbin matches. So
yeah,
I'm with it.
As long as Riddle wins and it's over, I don't care. I think the match he had with Tony, it was a squash match. I mean, they're keeping him strong relatively after the AJ loss, so they still see a lot in him. And I'm still waiting for him to. I mean, he's had bangers for the month that he's been there, so I'm still waiting for them to kind of shit or get off the pot with him. I think we had a really interesting thing with Nikki, Alexa, Bayley, and Sasha. Who we're going to talk about Bayley and Sasha a lot in the next couple of minutes, so I'm not gonna touch on them. So, how do you feel about this potential? I don't know if it's a turn or a breakup between Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. Nikki, of course, beat Alexa to earn the right to face Bayley this week on SmackDown. And, a lot of people are kind of concerned about what's going to happen next here.
I'm weird. I don't really have any concern. I see this more so of a fact. Yeah, I see it more so of a fact to explain why tag team partners are going up against each other, because there's no one left for Nikki Cross or anyone left on the SmackDown roster to face. I mean, they've all faced each other at least a million times in various, iterations and or combinations. So I think this was just more so a way to explain why they're going against each other, and maybe there is going to be hard feelings, especially since one is the number one contender. Nikki seems to really, really, really want this. If I see anyone turning, it's going to be Alexa Bliss, but I only see Alexa Bliss turning if maybe something happens in the future that we'll talk about when we talk about the tag team champions. But I don't really see anything kind of looming or any darkness looming in the background. I don't really see it.
Yeah, me either. I would rather Nikki turn than Alexa, though. I will say that. I think Alexa's so much better or less annoying as a face.
So I thought Alexa Bliss would be a better in-ring face, but no, I mean, she's kind of the same. So I think she's kind of fallen to style. I think Nikki's the much more electric face, someone who's got fire and you kind of root behind her and all the other stuff. I feel like Alexa Bliss, we don't want to see the heel thing again, because the heel thing comes with the reign, and then the reign comes with all the other stuff that comes with it. So
yeah, the complaining and shit.
Yeah, all the other stuff like that. So who knows? We'll see.
So we have
let's get to the part where it's Daniel Bryan's SmackDown.
Yes, two things happen here. That there's been a rumor that Daniel Bryan and Edge are writing for both of their shows respectively. So Daniel Bryan on SmackDown, Edge on Raw. You can definitely see Edge's influence on the Randy Orton stuff, especially the promos. But here on SmackDown, Land of Opportunity, Daniel Bryan is definitely all about it. First up, we had a four-way match between Lince Dorado, Gran Metalik, Drew Gulak, and Chad Gable for the right to face AJ Styles for the Intercontinental title. I mean, take a wild guess who won this match.
First of all, would have never seen this coming on anybody but Daniel Bryan SmackDown. It would have never happened. This could have happened on Velocity, like a decade and a half ago, and people would have still never seen it. Gran Metalik wins, which I'm fine with. I love Gran Metalik. Me too. He has no character established in WWE at all. Like, I don't even think he said 4 words since being on the roster. Maybe, I guess officially on the SmackDown roster since maybe a year ago. So he has not said anything compared to I don't even want to say Lince Dorado, because Lince Dorado hasn't said much either, compared to the other two guys in the ring who has some semblance of a story that people can get behind, or gimmicks or words that they say out their mouth or something along those lines. But I think the match is going to be fire. I think they want to establish that we can have great matches on the show, tell a great story, and people will become invested that way. So this Friday, we'll see Gran Metalik versus AJ Styles on SmackDown, and I'm super excited because
banger.
I think he's going to show out. Yeah, I think 100% he's going to show out.
AJ, and I mean, to me, as far as the men go, it's Drew, Seth, AJ. Those are the guys right now, and I think that they've been showing out and showing off this whole year. So,
well, we might see another guy added to this mix.
Absolutely. So earlier in SmackDown, you have Big E and Kofi in a promo. Kofi comes out, and of course, this was taped after Extreme Rules, so this is pretty much storylines after Extreme Rules. Kofi comes out and says because of the bump that he took on the show, he was going to be out for 6 weeks. Which leaves him which such a direct amount of time to be out, by the way. I think Kofi just wants to go home.
Yeah, he's like, yo, I'm out.
So
my wife's going back to work. Somebody gotta watch these kids.
I gotta homeschool them, bro. So this leads Kofi to say, with Woods out and him out, it's time for Big E to basically shine and go for a singles run. I can't put the promo into words better than they do. If you have seen a video of it or you haven't seen it, please go check out this promo on YouTube. It's probably the most sincere and earnest wrestling promo of the year, in my opinion. I think it's completely real. It's how two friends would talk, and it didn't seem scripted at all. But this is leading to the Big E singles program. And before you go, Meelz, I want to say his first match needs to be squashing Jackson Riker on SmackDown this week.
Oh, yes. I think, first of all, this Big E program, I love the narrative that I'm setting out for it. You got to choose between Big E and Otis now. Do you want Otis in the limelight, or do you want Big E to be the one who carries the future? Do you want your Otis now? Let me ask you, with Big E on the prowl, Big E doing these things, Big E about to get major championship shots, Big E about to be all up in your ear.
Fickle.
You still want Otis? You guys still want Otis? You still want Otis, who hasn't been seen for weeks?
Fickle. Well, you know why? Because he was at the yacht party. You know why he was
for what? Who invited him to this yacht party with all the hot chicks?
I think that there's room for both. I'm not sure where they go with this Otis thing, to be quite honest with you. I mean, I think that the briefcase is not.
He returns on SmackDown this week.
Yes, he does.
And Mandy returned this week. So
interesting. Wink, wink. They're all coming back, huh? Wink, wink, wink. They're all coming back this week, huh? But yeah, I mean, I want Big E to. I think that you can have both Big E and Otis be successful. And they're not mutually exclusive. And I think Big E's more of a lineup for the Intercontinental title than the world title right now, to be honest with you.
Well, he should be in the world title because God knows I don't know what's going on with that world title thing.
I really think that
anywhere around it.
I really think it's Riddle. I really do think it's Riddle when it comes off of the spooky guys. It's gonna be Riddle.
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to say. That's all I'll see. I like this Big E run. I think, a large part of it I think it was maybe 2013. He was Intercontinental Champion for quite some time. And I think he lost a lot of favor just because he was the general inexperience, still coming up from NXT. Didn't seem to be garnering any sort of real support after breaking off with Ziggler and AJ. And then a few years later, he's in New Day and he's a completely new man. So I'm interested to see kind of how this looks on the other side. Can Big E really flourish as a singles competitor, or, does the same thing kind of happen? It's something that we've never seen, but it's something that we've completely asked for many times. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, me too. Really quick. It's bar fight. Yay, nay?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, Raw. All right, Raw. I want to speed through because we're coming up on an hour now, and there's a lot of stuff on Raw that happened, but nothing more important than what I want to talk about here. We have Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre confirmed for SummerSlam, so there you go.
I hope that was not the important thing.
That's that. Well, I mean, no. I'm gonna get through like some of the auxiliary stuff that happened on Raw.
Okay, let's do some quick hits. Yeah, let's knock out some quick hits.
Yeah, Drew and Randy's happening, so we're clear there. I think Drew is going to be good for him. He needs a big match against a big star. He's never faced anyone to the caliber of a Randy Orton in this role yet. Of course, he's obviously
right.
If he's faced Roman, so like on this level, as a babyface. But
right. In his championship reign, I don't think he's featured or he's had a threat as threatening as Randy Orton has been. And I think we saw this coming from a few weeks ago, especially with the way they're building up Randy. They have been kicking up all these legends. You kind of knew it was leading somewhere, especially since the Edge thing wasn't sort of, or when Edge eventually got injured, and it was kind of like, where do you go from here?
Yes. So we don't have to question that anymore. We know it's coming.
No, I think it's going to be great. You know, I'm looking forward to the program. It gives Drew McIntyre a incredibly formidable foil.
We have two guys that hate each other going for the tag team titles in Andrade and Angel Garza. I'm just really tired of this whole thing.
If you realize this was supposed to happen at WrestleMania, right?
Yes, I do. And I think that it's like, if they have the Street Profits drop the titles to these guys, which I don't think that they will, I think it'd be a big mistake. I think that the Profits and the Raiders, or the Profits and the Flyboys, they need to have more burn here. I think that's a more interesting program for me for the Profits. And we've seen this match so many times between these two teams. And we've seen the same things happen so many times. This screams kickoff match to me, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It really
you're right. There's nothing really completely new about what they're actually presenting with this. In fact, it's probably a few steps back, because when this was initially delivered to us, it was delivered with the promise of Bianca Belair being alongside and kind of evening the odds with the whole Zelina Vega thing. Now Bianca Belair is completely out of the picture. So it's kind of like now you're rolling back to what happened kind of originally before what's-his-face Austin Theory got involved in the whole mix and kind of everything like that. It sounds like a kickoff match. It probably will be a kickoff match. I hope the best for everyone involved in this. I just do. It's just, I want better for Andrade. I think, wow, why are we still using Andrade in this light? Yeah, he's a great worker, but I don't think we need him in this tag team now. I'm going for tag team championships. Set him up. We can set up the future for Drew. And
he's hit a wall. He's really hit a wall, though, Meelz. He got nerfed by Drew. He got nerfed by Apollo. He's in a tag team. There's nothing left for him here unless he goes to SmackDown. And if Charlotte's coming back soon, that's not going to happen. So, he's going to stay on the show. We've been said, like, it's time to shit or get off the pot with him. But again, I don't see world title in his future. And I really don't know where you put Andrade here. Angel, he's fine. He's someone that they're building. He's someone that I can see realistically winning any type of title that he wants to coming down the line within the next couple of years. But with Andrade, it's like he's been here for almost 3 years. It's time to do something with him. And I don't like the tag team thing. And I think, honestly, the Zelina thing is getting long in the tooth, too. It's just,
I agree.
I think his English has gotten a lot better. I'm like, I don't have a problem with him just going on his own now. I think he's fine, bro. So I don't know. It's just really weird. We also had more Hurt Business stuff. We had Bobby Lashley versus Ali in a really great match. I think Lashley's been spectacular. I'm raising my eyebrow at having Ali lose this early, though.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck was that? Sorry, my language, but I was like, what the hell was that? Why do you have him come back and then lose?
And clean. It's just like, what we were excited last week, and you gave him a win, and then you beat him again. What the fuck?
I don't know where this is. Yeah, I don't know where this is going.
I mean, be clear. There was a lot of really good in-ring stuff on this Raw, but I think the actual booking, and it's just like Extreme Rules, the actual booking of this shit was so bad that it made the show bad for me. Like, it really was a bad show for me as far as just creative goes, and that's for both shows. We also, on this episode of Raw, we also had Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax, another thing that was just objectively bad.
No one asked for this, by the way. No one asked.
I'm praying hard. I am praying hard for Shayna Baszler right now.
So here's the thing. I feel like Nia Jax versus Shayna Baszler, I think the match, when it actually happens, actually, no, I don't even know. I wanted to say, like, I'm expecting, like, good things out of this match, but I honestly don't know what to expect anymore. I think it's just something where two heels going off against each other. If there was a crowd, I think there would be a lot more of an engine behind it, because then you're kind of like, like one is a brutalizer, one is another brutalizer. Let's see these monster trucks kind of run into each other and kind of watch the fireworks and all the things that happen from that. And you don't really get that without a crowd. But then also, like, I have a feeling, I don't want to say they're going to, like, they really don't like, if this is not a stall program for Shayna Baszler, I'm confused. I'm really confused.
Well,
I'm confused.
This is going to lead to the larger discussion here of what I think will be happening. What else happened on Raw before we get to the Asuka Sasha stuff? That stuff.
Aleister Black came from waiting tables and got nerfed.
He looked like he worked for Yard House.
I was like, well, you came out to fight in that? I was like, maybe I'm bugging.
Take that ass.
First of all, this Murphy announcer thing just never ends. It's never going to end, and it's looking more likely that Rey Mysterio is coming back.
Yes. I'm thinking that it's going to be Dominic versus Seth at SummerSlam, and he had some. He really did a great job on Raw. Don't get me wrong. I thought he showed a lot of fire with the kendo stick. I really enjoyed the extra step of him hitting the actual steel stairs. I thought that was a really cool touch to show how angry he was. I'm just wondering, like, what are they setting Aleister up for in terms of his rewriting? Because I know that the rewrite is coming.
They're not setting him up for anything. That's my hot take.
I mean, like rewriting the actual, like, the his character, not his, like, what they have going on.
They don't have anything planned for him. That's my thing for him. It's been clearly shown for probably the last number of months. Outside Paul Heyman working this Buddy Murphy thing over and over, it's clear that there's no direction for him. They have him lose random matches. They don't really put him in a significant program. He's been teaming with Humberto Carrillo for various weeks on end. There's no clear direction with Aleister Black, and there has never been one since he called up to the main roster. It was always been, I'm looking for a fight. I'm in the room. He showed up. He faced Cesaro. That was it. And then he was moved to Monday Night Raw. He showed up. He was like, I want to face somebody. It's Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy does it. And that's kind of been it. There doesn't appear to be any direction for Aleister Black. I don't know if they're doing anything with him. He's no champ. I don't have any championship aspirations, any big match plans, anything like that. There's nothing going on for Aleister Black. And
now it looks like he was probably going to be off TV.
Yeah, because he got his eye poked out by Murphy.
It's like, so you beat this guy's ass for 6 months, and all right, whatever. I don't know. I'm not going to argue with you here. There's nothing to argue with. Yeah. There is something we can argue about, and let's do this. Sasha Banks should have been the main event, but Sasha Banks versus Asuka for the Raw Women's title. Knew something was up when they actually spelled out every single stipulation in the actual match graphic, and I should have raised my eyebrow then, but I was like, huh, that's interesting. They never do that. But then they did it tonight. And I thought it was a really good match in the beginning. And you probably feel the same way as I did. When you saw the Titantron light up and you saw what happened backstage, I said, don't do this. Because at first I thought it was going to be Bayley hitting Sasha to help Sasha win the title. I thought that probably would have been the fuckery. But then I saw this, and it made no sense for a number of reasons. And this is outside of Asuka just going to help her friend.
Losing?
I don't think that. Well, of course, her losing sucks. We're going to talk about that. I'm talking about the logic of this. The logic of this isn't that Asuka went to help her friend. The logic of this is whoever plotted this out had to do it in the most haphazard, stupid way that they could have ever done it. You have Asuka staring at a screen for at least a minute and 30 seconds as Kairi's getting her ass beat, has Sasha in the actual Asuka lock, could have actually tapped her at that point and then went to go help Kairi, and Asuka was still too late. She was still too late. But then you have her lose by countout, which in terms of all-time ways that Asuka has lost, including every time she's lost the fucking title, she taps out for it. This was probably the dumbest way that you could have nerfed someone possibly ever. And Asuka always has stupid ways that she loses the title, but by count out is absolutely stupid. I want to go to the actual top of the list here. Does Sasha really fucking need the Raw title right now?
The Raw title? No, she needs the SmackDown one.
What the fuck?
She needs the SmackDown one. So here's my beef with this entire thing. My beef was how stupid it was. I legitimately thought it was dumb that she's sitting there and it's like, oh, I need to help Kairi. And I'm like, well, people. I'm not going to say people don't get beat up all the time, and it's great that Asuka chose her friend over the championship. But if you're writing off Kyrie, like, there's not going to be any follow up. There's not going to be anything. If Kyrie's leaving, maybe Asuka should know that she's leaving. I don't know. There's so many different things that could go on where it's just like, don't let Asuka run out the ring and lose the championship on this. The golden moment, I guess all of this is I wouldn't say it's a golden moment. It's kind of really subjective. WWE had a chance to make history, and they decided we're going to go with the history, which is an all-encompassing women tag team. There's never been an alliance as stronger as Bayley and Sasha in WWE history. On a women's side, they hold the tag team championships. They hold both of the Raw championships. It makes me wonder if this was legitimately planned since they put the championships on, Bayley and Sasha. When they took them off of Alexa and Nikki, it makes me wonder if this was actually planned.
I don't think so. Even when you go down that road, they were still doing the breakup, the beginning of the breakup angle.
Interesting. No, because initially it was like Charlotte saying you don't have a title, and then Sasha gets a title. She gets a SmackDown title, and then they're like, okay, let's put her on NXT, and maybe they could have flirted with the NXT thing, and they're like, nah, let's do it bigger. Let's do Monday night. Like, let's do it on Raw. This program, which initially I think what everyone thought was a side program leading to eventually what Asuka was going to be facing at SummerSlam, which I think people expected. Well, I expected Shayna Baszler. I don't know about anybody else.
So, but they're stretching this out for so long. And you're going to get to that. You're going to get to that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. So, but I thought it was that as well. The side program ends up becoming the main program, unbeknownst to anybody, and we get this moment. The result to me was stupid. I don't think they need championships, but I understand why WWE did it for the whole history making. Let's make a moment out of this. This will get people coming back, and gradually I think people will legitimately look and like, all right, what's going to happen on Friday Night SmackDown because they are there? What's going to happen on Monday Night Raw since they are there? But I don't think you needed to do this with. I don't think you need to sacrifice Asuka's reign for no particular reason. I don't know if Asuka's going to get this belt back.
It's not a guarantee. It's really not a guarantee because your options, and it's always at the expense of her, right? It's always at Asuka's expense where there's like she's put to the side in the interest of something bigger, and it's like
right,
no,
because they could ultimately decide, okay, we're taking this to Survivor Series. That's where we're going to do Bayley versus Sasha, and they're both holding the championship. So it's going to be Bayley versus Sasha because they're both representing whatever fucking championship. They could take it to that. There's no guarantee that Asuka gets the belt back. And it's not so that I'm hurt necessarily about Asuka losing the championship, but it's just like you said, why does it always have to be in this sort of fashion with Asuka? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, why does she have to lose in these goofy fashions? And we kind of spend the next 18 months meandering for her to get this championship back and an opportunity back because they wanted to be done with this. I want to talk about you saying you're not sure she's going to get the title back. There are avenues for her to do it. I mean, there's the obvious rematch because she was never pinned. So I think that's your obvious rematch there. I think the other time she lost, it was a little bit more decisive with Charlotte, obviously. But I'm thinking at this point, do they do a winner take all or like a double belt? Because they love doing this with women. Do they do a triple threat between these women at SummerSlam? And I remember you stipulated that because we legitimately asked, all right, so what are they doing with the SmackDown Women's Championship? Because Bayley is about to beat the bricks off of Nikki on Friday.
Exactly. You're not going to keep them off the show. So I think the biggest punishment would be for them to have to defend their titles twice on the show, right? That would have to be the way to do it.
There's various ways. If Nikki manages to beat Bayley on Friday, first of all, I think all hell is going to break loose.
Oh, Novak is going to. I will literally hear his TV all the way in California coming out the window.
If Nikki, because then if they wanted to start that Alexa Nikki program, they can start doing that over on that side. If they wanted to continue this Bayley and Sasha program, they can continue doing it, I guess, on the Raw side, which would make no sense. I don't know. This convolutes so many different things. And the triple threat match is
right. It will not come out right.
The triple threat match is a great situation.
Right?
It's a great option.
It makes sense to have them defend the tag titles earlier in the night, then defend their titles later on in the night. I saw someone intimate that maybe Asuka would go after Bayley, but I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. That's like not the
because Asuka's on Raw.
Yeah, Asuka's on Raw, and Sasha has her title. But this also makes it so that Sasha and Bayley are going to be on every single show. And again, I think we're both in agreement here. Get to the turn already.
Get to the turn. That's what I'm saying. I talked about this a few weeks ago, where it's like, at this point, is it even going to be worth it? And yeah, maybe it will be. I mean, who knows? They could kind of maybe rewrite the story in a very interesting way, but the way you're taking so long for this turn, I'm not expecting a turn anytime in the future at this point. With both of them, I'm looking at them on YouTube right now, and they're both like laughing their ass off with all the championships, and it's fine. I have no problem with them having all the championships necessarily, but I'm more, the issue is more with the booking and like, how do you resolve this now without making anyone look without making anyone look stupider than you've already made them look.
Exactly. It's the same issue with the Undisputed Era having all the titles in NXT. You knew as soon as they won all the titles, there was an expiration date there, and luckily there was a show coming up, or there were a series of shows coming up that were going to rectify that, and we knew that.
Mm-hmm.
With this, I don't think that you can't do a turn in 3 weeks. Let's just be clear. So I don't think Sasha Bayley's happening at SummerSlam. Let's just be
no. It's just not happening.
It's not happening.
It's not happening. Don't pen it into the near future. To be honest with you,
exactly. They have to lose these titles first, but how? And I don't think any situation where they cut, like, let's be clear here. I love Sasha. She don't need this belt. She didn't need this title, bro. I think
if she loses it again on the first defense, don't come crying.
Exactly. And I want people to be ready for a 15 to 30 day reign here, because this isn't going to be a long run, and they're going to say, "Oh, they did it just to make her transitional champion." But you guys loved when she won it in service of the story. So, like, well, which one is it? Is it for the story, or is it for her legacy? "Quote unquote," it's wrestling. It's "quote unquote" her legacy.
I mean, her and Bayley, they got it all. I'm not mad at it. Again, not mad at the performers. It's not like they did this. They're heels. They're just performers. They're just acting. However, at the same time, none of this makes sense from the Bruce standpoint, the booking standpoint of like, what are we actually doing with all of these? Where is this story actually going? And maybe it's because us wrestling fans, we like to be comfortable a little bit and be able to see kind of how everything is going to be weaved right in front of our eyes. Maybe we want that. Maybe we don't really feel, maybe we feel solaced in, okay, Drew, Randy Orton. That makes sense. Oh my God. The Street Profits versus Angel and Andrade. Oh, that makes sense. Maybe we feel solace in that. This topsy-turvy, every week is a new week storyline that has actually cost Asuka, who's probably the most deserving champion on Raw, the championship. It's bad.
Yeah.
It's just bad. I didn't like the ending. It's no shot to the performers. I didn't like the ending.
It was pretty bad. But shout out to them. They did it. 5-time champion and all that. But that was Raw. We'll see how this shapes out on the shows this week. And that is, of course, SmackDown and Raw on Monday. We're barreling towards SummerSlam. Hopefully we have some sort of clarity on what's going on with the women's titles. Because, again, you have two divisions that are literally clogged up and cannot, and again, it's a lot of restraint on WWE's part and having to build storylines that don't have the title with them. And that's what I think they're doing with Nia and Shayna. She has to have something to do until the title gets back proper on a Raw Superstar. But again, I would just have rather them just do the Shayna Asuka thing and then just have her lose that way. That would have been fine to me. That would have been cool. This isn't the way. But that was Raw. And that is the A show for this week. We want to thank Ricochet, of course, for sliding through to the RNC Radio Network this week on the lookout and giving us some quotes for the A show as well. And as always, you can follow us at RNC Radio Live And you'll follow me at OGJohnny5 and Meelz at Meelz TV. We got a big week in RNC. Of course, we had that Ricochet interview, but we also have a new era of RSBN with Mark and Jeff teaming up with the Elite. Make sure you, not the Elite, sorry, the Elite Media. Shout out to Cam and Trevor and everybody over there. Make sure you subscribe to that channel to hear more about what's going to be coming up from them in terms of that partnership.
Actually, we have another interesting thing coming this week. I will be appearing on Ugly Radio, and I won't be appearing alone on my type of, outsider Kevin Nash, Scott Hall type of tip.
Oh, wow.
All I say is, listen, you taking him to court. That's all I gotta say.
Oh no, I can't wait to hear this. But until next week, thank you guys for listening to the A Show. Please subscribe to our channel, leave us a 5-star review, and leave us some reviews. Let us know what you're thinking. But until then, please be safe, wear your mask, and please wash your damn hands. See you next week. Peace.